Now, over the years, we have seen a lot of hit and misses when it came to Disney Star Wars, including the sequel trilogy movies, and even Solo: A Star Wars Story when it came to its box office results, that all were, of course, connected to Kathleen Kennedy's decisions and choices that she made with that actual film. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, of course, there's a lot of things happening at the same exact time today, where you have John and Dave working on over a dozen projects, and that really just goes to show you their dedication to the franchise. Then you got Kathleen Kennedy working on Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, both of which, by the way, are going to be pretty much their own thing. They're not going to really have any kind of philosophy connected to George Lucas or anything connected to his existing Star Wars lore. They're doing something completely new, so to speak. Now, that brings us to Bob Iger, the Disney CEO who has been having a lot of problems with Kathleen Kennedy for the past couple of months and counting, even when he was actually not as Disney CEO again, and Bob Chapek was actually there. He was still having problems with Kathleen Kennedy, talking with the board members, discussing about what they should do, what they should not do with Kathleen Kennedy, etc., etc. Now, beyond this point, what's even all the more interesting about the situation is exactly what has been happening with Bob Iger and what he recently had to say about Kathleen Kennedy, and this really just goes to show you that the plan to fire her by August of 2023 is really looking more and more likely now at this point. They want to get her out by August, and that's the overall plan by, of course, Bob and the Disney board members. Even the board members that support Kennedy want her out. That's the overall plan. Now, beyond this, with both Disney and Lucasfilm getting ready to make important announcements for their upcoming Star Wars shows, it's noted that currently, however, in a recent interview with Disney CEO Bob Iger, he went on to criticize Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy and put her up as an example of one who makes the wrong business decisions. He goes on to state, "We here at Disney are all about consistency with our projects, and that's what we try to do. With our upcoming Star Wars projects, the biggest problems that we had were making premature announcements of films and/or projects that grew fans' expectations, only for them to be let down by us canceling said projects. This was all a business fault provided by Kathy Kennedy that we had specific disagreements with and in-depth conversations about to prevent this from happening ever again. We here at Disney are aiming to no longer have an individual that can cause creative differences project after project, as it gives us an unprofessional look and image and what our aim is for the brand." Now, I want to pause here for a second. He kind of low-key just confirmed that they want to fire Kathleen Kennedy, of how they don't want an individual that creates a lot of problems by prematurely announcing specific installments of the Star Wars universe, only for them to never see the light of day. And you know what? As much as I criticize Bob Iger, and I'm not a huge fan of him, I do gotta agree with him on this part, is that really was a terrible business move on Kathleen Kennedy's end. Announcing movie after movie after movie, and never seeing them come to the light of day. You know, a great example is Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron. That's dead in the water. Even though Patty Jenkins is trying to make it seem like it's not, the truth is that's a cover-up, and basically she does not want her overall image to be seen as someone who actually got her project shot down. The other thing is Taika Waititi's movie. That's not looking really hot right now. That's really falling apart as well. The Kevin Feige movie also, it's falling apart. It's not working out. So all three of those projects really fell apart from the D&D trilogy, which Bob Iger goes over in a second also. All these movies, that's 6 total of Star Wars films that were announced and never got to see the light of day because of Kathleen Kennedy. Now the latest, alright, the one that Kathleen Kennedy officially announced, or at least addressed, and that has been in, of course, a lot of headlines recently, is the Lindelof movie, alright? Now, Lindelof is actually working on a new Star Wars film. It's going to be like a post-sequel era. And I would not be surprised if that doesn't happen as well. Now that one, you know, it was more so that Kathleen Kennedy only hinted about it. She didn't really come out and openly state that just yet. And that probably has a lot to do with Disney really keeping a tight lip on things and telling her to not say anything. So, moving on to the next thing, he goes on to say, myself and the board have never agreed with Kathy's approach to making said announcements on projects like Rogue Squadron and the D&D trilogy, and actually ruled against those announcements, but she went through with them anyway, and put us in a very specific spot to announce them publicly ourselves, before having to give the bad news for many of those installments. From now on, any project that we announce, we will ensure that it releases at some point later. Now, the thing about Bob Iger is that he's a movie guy. I mean, let's be honest, Bob Iger is a movie guy. He believes in Star Wars films. He doesn't really believe in just focusing on Star Wars TV shows, and I understand that to an extent, but you gotta look at what they have established. John and Dave have been doing amazing work with the shows so far, specifically Mando 1 and 2, as well as the upcoming 3rd season, and Ahsoka. So that's a total of 4 projects that are very likely to be very successful all in a row. And it's not that they want to get rid of shows, where it's not like that's what's happening right now by Bob Iger, but what he wants to do is that he doesn't want to just focus on shows. He wants to have movies really being the main thing again, with shows on the side. And him and his criticism, and really kind of putting Kathleen Kennedy on the hot seat here, and really, you know, just putting her down, telling her of how it was a bad business move with her, how she was always making premature announcements that were very bad for their image. It just goes to show you how much damage Kathleen Kennedy has done to not just Star Wars, but to Disney as a company and how they look, because let's face it, when Disney bought out Lucasfilm, they literally got audiences so large because there's so many Star Wars fans, let's face it. When you upset those fans, that's a lot of people that view Disney in a very bad way. When they do not, you know, meet expectations, or they don't do things the right way, that's a lot of people to convince again. And that's where John and Dave come into the equation. They're here to kind of patch that division, trying to fix that division and reunite the fans again. And I think that's why I remain optimistic, why I remain very positive about the franchise, is we got John and Dave on board. We've got shows that are more within the mythology coming up, like Ahsoka, and even a 2nd season of Ahsoka that's being pitched right now by John and Dave. Mando Season 3 is looking very bright. I mean, I gotta say, there's a lot of great things on the horizon that's also going to be announced at Celebration. So once again, Bob Iger putting Kathleen Kennedy in the hot seat and really just talking her down. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No hiding from night to moon.